So here, instead of hard coding the column and the logic to render the sort icon, I want to render the columns dynamically, and then we'll implement this logic only once. So in our vehicle list component, I'm going to declare a new field here, columns, set it to an array, and for each column, I'm going to define an object with 3 properties. One is title, which is what we render in the table, so ID. The other is key that we send to the server for sorting. And finally, is sortable to determine if this column is sortable or not. Now I'm going to duplicate this a few times. Now for the first column, because we don't want this to be sortable, we can remove this property because the default value of booleans is false. So we don't need to explicitly set it to false here. Also, we don't need the key here because of course we're not going to send it to the server. Now the second column is going to be contact name, and the key is going to be contact name. And of course it's going to be sortable. Now I'm going to repeat this for the other columns. So we have make and model, and they both are sortable. And finally, one last column, which is where we add the link to view a vehicle. Now back in the template, I'm going to apply the ng4 directive on this th where we have implemented the sorting logic. So ng4 let c of columns. Now instead of hard coding this string here, we use c.key. And here we use string interpolation, so c.title. And finally here, for rendering the icon, we compare query.sortBy with c.key. And then we can get rid of other columns here. Now this template is for sortable columns. We don't want to use this for every column. So what I'm going to do is add a div here and wrap all this content inside this div. Then I'm going to move this click handler to this div. And finally apply ngIf. So if C is sortable, we're going to use this template. Otherwise, we're going to use a different template. So ngIf C is not sortable. And of course, with Angular 4, we can have the if-else syntax, but it doesn't really matter. So if the column is not sortable, we just want to render the title. So we get all the columns here, beautiful. If I click ID, nothing happens. If I click contact name, we have this beautiful sorting functionality. If I click a different column, beautiful, everything working perfectly. So we have implemented sorting. Next, we're going to implement paging.